Hi, this is Alexander Vitkin, and in this video, you will find out how to get to $6,000 per month on Fiverr. And I'm here with Damiano, who did six figures last year on Fiverr, so he's very successful there after being there for like a year and a half, 2 years. How long have you been on Fiverr, Damiano?
2 years now.
Okay, and we're going to share his top tips on how to do this, how to get to $6,000 and even above per month on Fiverr and revenue. So welcome, Damiano.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
So what are some differences between the people who do, $5 gigs and who do a couple of $100s on Fiverr and the ones who make it and who get to $6,000 and above per month on Fiverr? How do we get there?
So from what I've noticed, there are a few different types of Fiverr sellers, and the ones that do the best is really the ones that think of their Fiverr account as a business. So you're not there necessarily to make money right away, but you're there to actually build a customer base and keep getting orders from that customer base. So there are a number of things that people can do in order to ensure that they have the necessary proof so that people are comfortable with their investment and they're comfortable working with them. I would say one of the really first things that people need to keep in mind is that when you start off on Fiverr, you're a new seller, and you kind of have to think of it as going to a new country. Like when you go to a new country, you don't know anyone, you might have some abilities, but you still have to build your network. And it's kind of like that. And so at the beginning, focusing on getting the reviews more than just making money will be the initial what you need to do to get that social proof up. And then other than that, it's just things like adding past success stories you might have with clients. If you have any sort of like really good testimonials or companies that you've worked with in the past, those are all things that are worth mentioning in the gig and in the profile itself.
How do you do this? How do you build up that credibility? Because early on, I guess a lot of people, they just show up there and just say, okay, I deserve sales, but I'm not getting them. What should they do? How do you build all that credibility, social proof, and so on?
Yeah, it really takes time. Like I said, when you're on Fiverr, it's really about being able to give the best service as you can, especially at the beginning. So things like getting back to people like super quickly and listening to your audience. I'll give you guys an example. When I started off on Fiverr, I was literally just selling an ebook on dropshipping. But by selling that to more and more people and getting to know what it is that they were looking for, then I figured out what my next gig should be, because a lot of people were asking me for how to build a Shopify store. So then I created a gig for creating a Shopify store for people, and that was the gig that kind of propelled me forward. And so a lot of times it's just about listening to that initial feedback and understanding that your first few months on Fiverr are not supposed to be about you making thousands of dollars. They're supposed to be about you just understanding your market more than anything. And then making people feel comfortable with working with a new seller, especially at the beginning. So anything that you can tell them, like if you've been in business for 10 years outside of Fiverr or something like that, or even if you're new, a lot of what new sellers do, if they're new at selling their services, they'll just ask the client to take a chance on them and tell them that they're going to over deliver and undercharge them pretty much in exchange of a review and a really good business relationship. Now, this might sound counterintuitive for somebody who hasn't worked in this model, but I can tell you that 2 years from being on Fiverr, I still have some of the clients that I had at the beginning when I was at level 0 that are coming back now because they've seen my growth and they've seen that I've done pretty well. And now I'm selling thousands of dollars worth of services to them. Even though at the beginning, they were just taking a chance on me, buying $5 to $15 services, and I was kind of taking a chance on them as well.
You said that you need to make people feel more comfortable. How do you make someone feel more comfortable who you haven't worked with yet? So I understand that if you in the beginning have clients that you undercharge, that they're going to have a lot of trust in you because you keep over delivering under charging. But how does that translate to more sales later on for new clients?
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that the initial clients, when you are kind of undercharging and over delivering, or instead of saying undercharging, I should say under promising and over delivering. Those clients you have to give them the best experience so that they will leave you those 5-star reviews. Because on Fiverr, it's really everything. It's all about the reviews. You have to put yourself in the client's shoes and understand that they have an investment to make on the marketplace. And so if they are going to make that investment with you, you have to make them feel comfortable. So the initial reviews are pretty much what translates into higher sales as you go up. The more reviews you have, the more you can bring your prices up. But other than that, is really just maybe offering them 100% satisfaction guarantee right before the gig starts, and also making them understand kind of your process. So one of the things that I used to say at the beginning is just making buyers aware that if they do cancel an order, it will affect my account negatively. So I'm going to go out of my way and make sure that doesn't happen. And I will over deliver and be there, if they're not satisfied for any revisions and things like that. And that usually, if you just keep it up, just do that for a few months and just make sure that every interaction that you have with a client is a top-notch interaction. Your brand and your social proof will kind of grow out of that organically. And Fiverr has made a lot of changes in order for that to work very well over the years.
When does the real money come in? So you said in the beginning, you're not focused on making money. You're focused on building your reputation and getting ranked and getting. In previous videos, we also mentioned, by the way, guys, check out also the other videos about Fiverr where we explain how to get your first sale. But you mentioned also that you need to get ranked higher, of course. But when does the real money start coming in, or the real amount of sales, or the good clients better?
I would say, if you're aligning yourself with Fiverr's level system, and we do have a video about that, and you make it to level 2, then at that point, you are basically showing your buyer that you are, pretty much a full-time seller on Fiverr, and you're going out of your way to offer a higher than normal service. And I mean, the level system is pretty much where the fun starts. So when you get to level 2, you can make quite a bit of money. But that being said, I mean, like, it's different for everybody. Conversion is kind of a complicated formula. So I have seen people at level 1 lately who are doing quite well for themselves as well. So it all comes down to social proof, like quality of the service, quality of the customer service as well. All of that stuff kind of goes into the formula.
What else can you add to your profile to prove to people that they should trust you? What are some other credibility items for customers that they should be seeing on your profile or on your gigs rather?
Yeah, definitely. So anything, you have to think about it in a way that anything that's going to make the client comfortable with spending their investment with you would help. So things like, past success stories is a huge one. So one of the things that a lot of Fiverr sellers do, I sell Shopify stores, for example. The Shopify stores that I have built have generated over $90 million for my clients. And so that's something that I'm able to mention on my gigs, so that they know that whatever it is that I build is high quality. And obviously, make sure that if you do write something like that, it's true, because clients will be doing their due diligence and asking you to see some of those stores. For example, you are going to have to, show them a lot of those initial success stories. And if you don't have any success stories, then just make sure that your initial clients are people that you can get success stories from, and then leverage those success stories as you're improving your ranking on Fiverr. It really makes all the difference in the long run.
Yeah. How many 5-star reviews do you need? What is a good number to aim for early on in the first few months?
So usually I would say around 15 5-star reviews are the standard for starting to get more traffic and more people interested in your service. Usually a 15 review page will have, enough reviews for clients to really do their due diligence and look into you. And you're more likely to get more messages if you have that social proof rather than if you don't. But if you don't, then just make sure that you're offering the best possible service so that you can move to a place where you can have those 15 initial reviews.
How far do you take the 100% satisfaction guarantee? Will you do any amount of work to get that review for one single gig, or how far do you take it? And how do you manage expectations there?
I think very good question. So I think especially at the beginning, you have to have a very frank conversation with the client before he places the order, just covering all of your bases, making sure that the client knows exactly what he's getting with the gig. And usually that allows you to make sure that the 100% satisfaction guarantee has some limits. Mm-hmm. You want to set those limits even before sending the custom order request or asking the client to place an order. And I think, talking about the scope of work, it's something that especially new sellers, they should be used to doing, because you're going to end up doing that with every single buyer you have even once you do start making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So those are very solid tips, and they obviously come from experience. So thank you for sharing that, Damiano. If anyone's interested in getting their business set up and getting started as a marketing agency or a tech agency or a creative agency, do hit me up. I'm on Facebook. My name is Alexander Vitkin. And if you have any questions for Damiano or me in general, you can also post them as comments here on Facebook. Thank you, Damiano, for coming over. And do check out the other videos as well that we have about Fiverr. Interview Damiano every few weeks or so about this topic. So we're getting deeper and deeper into the subject. So do subscribe and do check out the other videos. So see you next time. And thank you for your time, Damiano.
Thank you for having me.